Well, I'll just start off with a bit of introduction as to why age-friendly is something near and dear to my heart. I'm one of those kids that was born to a mom who was 47 and a dad who was 50. My oldest sister is 26 years older than I, and you may say, oh, they had a whoops. There's no whoops. There's 14 kids in the family. We were continuous croppers, no summer follow. So basically, the month that I turned 18, my mom got cut off her baby bonus check for me, and lo and behold, she got her first old age security check. And she went into our local credit union and she said, I think I want these photocopied. And they said, well, okay, we'll do it for you. And the gal came back with her photocopy and said, well, Doris, what do you think of that? She says, I'll tell you one thing, it sure paid a heck of a lot more to get old than it did to get pregnant. So that's a bit of my story. And if you wonder why I like to do stand-up, I say I suffer from poor self-esteem. In a family of 14, I didn't even make the top 10 in my own family. And honestly, I have 10 sisters. I didn't even make top 10 in just the girls. So 11 girls and 3 boys in the family I come from. And my oldest sister is currently 89, still runs a wedding decor business and a greenhouse. So we're very active people. So the picture you see up there is me in my funeral outfit. I actually worked for a funeral home in retirement as well because you don't have enough to do with subbing and school boards and all that. So it's very formal looking. I don't know that, I can't keep doing everything, so that one I no longer do, but the picture's still up there because I do facilitate grief groups for them online. Saskatchewan's very diverse, and to do things, we learned that Zoom is a very friendly thing for us to do, so that's one more thing on my shingle, I guess. So I did have this frame as my lead frame, and you can see I'm wearing my shirt today. On the sleeve is a logo, and that logo says, age-friendly Moosomin, no best before date on us. And when you think about bread, you know, it's best before, not rotten after. Same thing with sour cream or all the other things. It's like us going into retirement. There's no way the day you retired, you became less of what you were the day before. You might have less income. You may have fewer colleagues to see each day, but you still have lots of purpose. And age-friendly really struck a chord with me in that that's a purpose that can come to my community of Moosomin. So I'll give you a little bit of background. I had somebody say, I know nothing about age-friendly, and I thought, oh good, that means I can talk about that too. Age-friendly is a global movement that was started by the World Health Organization in 2002. It was developed so that people could age in place. It was developed to get people living actively in retirement because in older times, people thought retirement was a time you didn't have to do anything if you didn't want to. And we know how well that works out for us. If you don't use it, you lose it. It also makes social engagement a priority and also independent living. So getting services in communities to help with that. The main outlying goals would be inclusive, accessible communities for all. I got involved with age-friendly kind of by accident, I guess, as a STS board member at Superannuated Teachers of Saskatchewan. I was asked to join the Saskatchewan Senior Mechanism Board. So that's their logo. In Saskatchewan, we're fairly unique. Out here in BC, you have a Minister of Seniors. You probably have a Seniors Advocate. You probably get a little bit of attention. In Saskatchewan, our Minister of Seniors has a threefold portfolio. And listen to what they are and then figure out where seniors rank in 1, 2, and 3. It is rural health. Well, if you've been to Saskatchewan, you know there's a lot of rural, not a lot of health. The second one is addictions. We know what that's plagued our country. The third one is the Ministry of Seniors. So when it comes to getting some emphasis in governmental departments, we lack with that. The other part of it is with the Seniors Advocate, if we could have one, they don't change every 4 years with your government. The problem we hit when we've got a government with a 4-year plan is at the election, the 4-year plan sometimes hits the wastebasket and it doesn't carry forward. So we see a lack of continuity of programming as well when we rely just on our governmental agency for that. The Saskatchewan Seniors Mechanism was a group that was existing in Saskatchewan. The government thought, well, we got to give out money. We have to get rid of grant money somehow. Let's put it in charge of them. So the Saskatchewan Senior Mechanism is like an umbrella organization that looks after age-friendly plus dispersing grants for the government. Not a lot of money given away either, by the way, just so you know. Age-friendly helps us see our community the way others might see it. So in retirement, I still have part-time work in Moosomin. I find that there's a golf course just 5 kilometers from town. I love to go there. I have my doctor. If I need to go to the city for an appointment, I hop in my own car, drive myself. If I'm tired of shopping at the co-op with high-priced groceries, I just basically run to Regina once a month and pick up a good $400 or $500 grocery day and save myself $100. There's a lot of people who don't have my reality, and I don't know that unless I ask them. So part of the age-friendly work that we do involves surveying our community, and for good reason, because there's a lot of people that I can't know what their reality is unless I ask them. So age-friendly is basically started to recognize the needs of an older population, but what's really neat about it is whatever serves an older population also serves a younger population. So for example, if I have the cut-down sidewalk at the end of my street, it's not only good for the person with a scooter or a motorized chair, it's also good for the mom with a stroller or the little one on a tricycle or a little bicycle. A business directory that highlights services for seniors not only benefits me, but benefits newcomers to my town who maybe don't know who to access. There's things like volunteerism. We're really lacking volunteers, especially since COVID pandemic, and we tried to accelerate volunteerism. And the last one that we really are noticing out in rural Saskatchewan is our transportation needs. I was at the airport and you have shuttle buses and you've got Uber and you've got taxis. And in Saskatchewan, in my town of 3,000, we don't even have a taxi service. We have a motorized bus for people that are considered handicapped. I don't like that word, but for people with mobility issues. And that's as good as it gets. And it runs from 8 till 5, Monday through Friday. So my group also helps out with that, and I'll explain a little of that in a moment. Here's the map of age-friendly communities in Canada. Now, this is an older map. BC, it says you have 86. Saskatchewan on there was 12, but currently we're at 19. When I started with Age Friendly in 2021, we had 12 communities. We were up to 15, I think, last fall, 16 maybe, and we're onboarding 3 more right now. We're up to 19. So it is something that's growing. In BC, you have something that we don't in Saskatchewan, not just the names of our communities. In case you're interested, you might have a relative in one of them or something. In BC, when you start an age-friendly community, you guys have the ability to write a grant application and get funding for your survey. We don't have any such thing in Saskatchewan. I think it's called Hope, Trust, and Fairy Dust. We're supposed to start a committee and get things running. And because I'm a teacher and I remembered how to make recycled art projects, we did figure that out too. Right now in Saskatchewan, we have about 1.2 million people. I know it sounds like a spit if you live in Surrey or any of these other places, but for us, that's pretty good. We grew by 0.2 in not too long of a time. That means in all those communities listed, half of our province now live in an age-friendly community. You can't say the same thing out here. Your population's much higher and you don't have the same percentage of communities. Age-friendly is organized into 8 domains, and this is to add structure to it so that you don't just go willy-nilly. One group might say, well, I think we should have card parties and game nights, and another committee might say, I think we should take meals to people that are impoverished, or, no, there's 8 domains. It's foundational pieces that every age-friendly group follows. How you look at it, though, is your own. I said it's like any journey. Depending on which road you take, the scenery is a little different, and it will look different for each of you. The first one is about outdoor spaces and outdoor living. Now, you have beautiful, beautiful weather here year-round compared to Saskatchewan. Although when I left Wednesday night, I golfed in 30 Celsius, and I came here and it was 14. So I'm just going to tell you, right now, our weather is much nicer than yours. But outdoor spaces get you to assess in your community what it's like for accessibility, what it's like for availability. Are there varieties of things to do? So my town of Moosomin, population 3,000, just put in a regulation-sized basketball court. Great for kids, not much for seniors. Just put in pickleball courts. We got 3 of them outdoors. Yeah, a lot of seniors use that. We have a walking path in a sportplex that has virtual golf. Lots of seniors use that. We golf year-round now in Moosomin. So we have lots of things that have come in because people are saying, we need this. But the outdoor spaces is also washroom accessibility. If you've been to a small town and need to use a bathroom, most of you are familiar with buying a bag of chips as you leave a gas station because you used the bathroom but didn't need gas. That's what we do. There's no public restrooms available once stores close in the downtown. And that's an area that we know is important to so many people. The second area we look at is transportation. Rural Saskatchewan has many challenges because we're so far apart, many kilometers between places. We have no Greyhound bus, and Saskatchewan Transportation Company, the government-run transportation company, folded the same year as Greyhound did. So if you live in Moosomin and you need to get to Saskatoon, the only way to do it is to find somebody to drive you. It gets a little expensive if you're paying real wages to people, not just your kids. The next one is housing, and this is where I think all of you want to come home with me, but we didn't know much about housing in our town, so we had the Saskatchewan Housing Authority representative come and present at one of our meetings, and we found out that in Saskatchewan you pay 35% of your income if you want to rent a Saskatchewan housing facility. So you can get yourself a nice little one-bedroom house for as little as $400 a month. And if your utilities cost you too much, you can't afford it, they actually will supplement your winter utilities as well. Now, that stems from Saskatchewan being very agriculture-based. A lot of farmers did not buy into Canada Pension, and they relied on just the old age security. So if that's all you were living on right now, think of what your income would be. A teacher's pension makes it look a whole lot better. Canada Pension boosts that. So a lot of our senior ladies, for example, married to a farmer, outlived their husband, outlived their savings. When they sold their farms, they may have sold the whole farm for under $100,000. Right now, a quarter of land is going for closer to $1 million. So just what's happened in 20 to 30 years has been incredible. The next one is social participation. This has to do with things like programmings that get you out of your house. We have an awareness type focus, I guess, in our group where we bring things onto our age-friendly Facebook page to kind of promote things that are coming up with the Arts Council. Or we have a visual arts center that does crafts and all kinds of neat stuff, potter's wheels and stained glass and leather works. They do almost anything there is. We can get promos from different companies in town. So we have an Anytime Fitness that opened. They wanted to demo what they offer to seniors. Great, we can line that up for them. We have regular coffee houses, and those coffee houses are because of social isolation. You may think that social isolation is not a huge deal, but how many of you were smokers in a previous life? Well, social isolation is considered as detrimental to your health as pack-a-day smoking. So in your aged years, do you want to let yourself go back to smoking or, the equivalent by being lonesome? No, you need to have that social interaction. We also did a program called Tech Time. We also have a program that we run weekly, Forever in Motion, and I'm sure you have similar things to that running out in your communities. The next one with respect and social inclusion is again about social isolation. The next one, civic participation. We look at intergenerational connections. As much as we know little kids make us smile and giggle, it also keeps us younger. It's a very important thing to keep that in mind when you're planning programs to involve youth whenever possible, or just many generations. Also, it talks about employment opportunities. I don't need any more work than I've already got, but if people need it, it's out there right now. Our communities are full of part-time jobs that they'd be itching for somebody with a warm body and a pulse to take. And we have lots of our seniors in our community that they transition to retirement. Now, pardon my crude language, but we call that the taper on the turd. What's yet to come doesn't hurt so bad. And I encourage people to do that. Like quitting teaching cold turkey would have killed me. So I've taken many short-term contracts and have substituted. I turned down sub calls for this week because I knew I was too busy. So I mean, that's your employment part. Communication and information is just a little bit of a structure that's changed in our society. We rely on so much technology now when we communicate. You read things online. You go to a web page to learn about your hotel you're going to stay in. You go to an app to book your flights. You do all kinds of things that if you weren't born coming out of the birth canal with a cell phone in your hand are going to be challenging. Our young people do this. So we started up a Tech Time program that we ran. It was weekly at first. I got a boost on it from the government. I'll tell you about that later. But we have to look at how we communicate and is it effective. We hear lots of people say, well, it was posted on Facebook. Yeah, but I don't have Facebook. It didn't do me much. How do we communicate so it's effective to all people in our communities? So when we do events, we still hang posters in each of the senior condos. We take a coming events column in the newspaper, and we do things the old way plus the new way, because we have lots of our seniors that are young and are very much adept with technology. So the next one is the community support and health services. Now, you're going to also want to move to Moosomin with me after this. Moosomin put in a new hospital in 2008. Our town had to contribute money to the government so that it was affordable, and our local town with the municipalities made $22 million. I was principal of my school at that time. We earned $10,000 through hot dog sales, skate-a-thons, and a recipe book, and our potash mine matched it. So we furnished the pediatric room in our hospital, plus we were able to buy an isolette that fits in the ambulance so we can take any preemies born in our community to the bigger centers. So our healthcare center isn't that big and that good without reason. We currently, today, have 15 doctors in my town, 3,000 population. We have 2 interns practicing to be doctors. Those interns, before they leave, if they've proven their salt, will be offered a partnership. They will get to come back. 2 of our doctors are homegrown. They went through the high school and the school system in our town. So, I mean, there's lots of positive things with that. So this one, we really scored well on our survey, but we still have areas to work on. Nothing is so good it can't get better. Just recently, we achieved our 4 milestones. Every committee is supposed to achieve these 4 things. So you strike a committee, number 1, that makes sense. Number 2, you survey your community to find out what their needs are. Number 3, you have to get municipal support. So we went to the 2 rural municipalities repeatedly, as well as to our town office, and we communicated and communicated and communicated. And they knew if they put me on the agenda for 10 minutes, I'd take 20, but that was okay. They didn't mind as long as I kept telling a joke now and again. The milestones after the municipal support is an action plan. Well, if you do a survey, very naturally, you get the action plan. And I see some of you taking pictures and stuff. All of this kind of information is available on your age-friendly websites. There's one for every province in Canada, and your BC one is there as well. If you want to check out Saskatchewan, Moosomin has a page within their site. That's how they help us manage our technology, because there's no paid employees in our group. So you'll remember 2020 was memorable. Maybe not for great reasons, but memorable nonetheless. The COVID pandemic came on in March, and it was March that I had already set my mind on starting a committee. So I went to the newspaper, took out an ad, and said, if you want to join a Zoom call to find out about Age Friendly, phone me. I'll get your email or your address from you to send you a link, and the way we go. So that's what started all this. Was I had joined the SSM board in the fall, and by March, the light bulb moment, let's try Age Friendly. So what happens in Saskatchewan is unique to the rest of Canada. We have a higher percentage of youth and aged people compared to the rest of you. Not only is that true for Saskatchewan, but Moosomin's even got more than Saskatchewan. So if you take a look, in Moosomin, we're 5% greater percentage than the national average when it comes to supporting those 2 areas. What happens with that is our long-range planning has to look a little different. When a baby's born, we know within 6 years or 5 years they're going to need a school to go to. We know when a senior is getting towards age probably 100, they might want some assisted living. Everybody seems to age real well these days. That's why I picked 100. But you know, you get the idea of what that does to your community and the impact on the infrastructure. Aging in place is a catchphrase you'll hear often. And aging in place means aging in the right place. If you're currently living in a 2,400 square foot home and you're rattling around by yourself in it, chances are you might want to downsize, but you might not want to leave your own home community. You know where the stores are, you know that your friend next door looks in on you, and you still don't want to move too far from them. So what that tells me is we have to look at the economic advantage of keeping our aging population close. What the town did is they gave us the economic development officer for the town as part of our committee. They said, this person's going to your meetings, and they'll keep us connected. And that was a really good move on their part, because as we age, we no longer have mortgages, or at least in Saskatchewan we don't, maybe in BC you do, but no more mortgages, no more kids in school, no diapers to buy. So there is definitely money considerations that are important. This slide shows 1921 all the way up to projected 1941 population. And you can see our longevity has changed a lot. Take note, though, there were 2 world wars in some of those stats. That also impacted the number of people that could age because they passed. We haven't had those same structures happening. Our government programming looks at those types of graphs. This is Moosomin's population trend. As we live better, we live longer. Those numbers are from Census Canada. They do projections and things. So this next slide is showing what's happened with our population growth. Our senior population is catching up to where we're a 50-50 split to the rest of the population. Now, think of what that does to your workforce. You now have people that aren't working but still need services, so you have to get more people in. Our population in Moosomin has grown by 500 people since I've moved there. I moved there in 1990. So as small towns go percentage-wise, it is growing. The next one shows about expendable income. So our seniors have money to spend, and I think that's the reason that our economic development officer felt quite happy to be on our committee. He could keep on pointing out to businesses, if you serve them, they're going to stay here. And so we've got things happening because of that. I was telling someone here, I can't remember who it was, but we have a group called the CBA, the Community Builders Alliance, and it's a bunch of young businessmen in town that got together, and they surveyed the community to see what they needed for services. And somebody said, well, you know that CPAP thing? I have to send it in from the mail. I have to drive to Regina to pick it up. Could we get one of those? We have a CPAP clinic now. We also have an audiologist. We actually had 2 for a short time, but they realized one would have to starve. So one went back to Brandon. But we have an audiologist and a person who fits hearing aids right in Moosomin now. So it's definitely the voice of seniors has to be heard, because you've got money to spend, you want to stay put, you want to spend where you want to spend. And I think that's what a committee like this can help do. So this talks about the journey. There's no finish line. It's not a race. It's a very loopy journey sometimes. So our big thing, though, is being inclusive and respectful. What is to follow now, you might get a little whiplash from, because in our journey for Age Friendly, we took off with a lot of press from our newspaper. He's a very community-minded person, and so this is where I start the photo journal. I took pretty much everything I saved from the start of our committee and threw it into this so that I could zip through this and get you guys out of here in good time. I think I have till 10 o'clock, is that correct?
Well, 10 to 10:15.
Okay, so there could be questions at the end if needed. Okay, so our starting point. I went in to get my ad for the Zoom call. And the guy who edits the paper was in his office, and he says, what's this? What's this? Tell me, what's this? Well, I want to have an interview. So I brought in my binder, and I held it, and he took my picture, and he asked me a million questions. And the word about Age Friendly got out, along with the ad the same week. So now I've got people that are showing up to my meeting. 12 people attended the meeting. And so all agreed we should proceed. After our first formal meeting, he asked for another little bit of information. So we're back in the paper yet again. He's had the same picture. He didn't take a new picture each time. I do change my clothes. But yeah, you'll see the same mug shot, but people don't. My mom might have noticed if she was still alive. She'd say, how come you have the same shirt on every time? But no, nobody else cares. It's all good. So we get more press coverage after our official startup. So our first meeting was Zoom. By the fall, we were meeting face-to-face. Well, face-to-masked face, I guess it was. But we have 8 meetings a year. We meet September, through to November. We take December off because we're all busy in December, and we go January to May. We take June, July, and August off. But I plague them with emails because we are requested to do volunteer work constantly. We get calls from the community saying, it could be the care home. The example I had from a couple weeks ago, Mrs. X's best friend passed away and she needs a ride to Broadview for her funeral. Her daughter can't get here unless she takes a day's holiday to do it. Would you be able to find a driver? So I took this lady to this funeral. I'm thinking, if my best friend passes away, I sure as heck want the choice to go to the funeral. She had a marvelous day. She used to teach in that town. We went by the old, where the teacherage was. We went by the old school where it used to be. She saw the new school. She's looking at it going, wow, this has been a fabulous day. I'm thinking, you're burying your best friend and it's a fabulous day. I'm so happy I could take her, you know. And we get calls like that. We get calls for different groups in town. They'll say, would you be able to work the door shift for us for taking admission to something? Our high school drama festival is the example of that. The teachers are tapped out backstage doing work, helping with all the other crowd management things. We took the admission. How easy was that? You know, and the kids at the door, oh, Miss Putland. Yeah, I know, I taught you 100 years ago. I still remember you. Yeah, it's all good. So we also met in the early stages with our town council and the 2 RMs, and we filled them in on what Age Friendly was, gave them a look at what we do. This is some of my committee. I just wanted to show you, we've now got the matching shirts. When we volunteer, we go out wearing these shirts, and people go, oh, they're the ones in the blue. Yeah, I got to pick the color. It's my favorite. The first picture was at one of our coffee houses. The second picture was at our recognition day. I just want to give you a bit of background who's on my committee, because some of your committees I hear are mostly retired teachers. Well, in a small town, I have that group already. I'm also president of our local chapter of our retired teachers, so I know those people, and they'll come and help if I need extra people. I can phone them, and some of them will show up. But we have retired teachers and education assistants. We have retired nurses. We have a retired banker. We have a retired farmer. We have a dental hygienist. We have a car dealer. We have a senior housing manager. She manages senior condos. And we have another gal who joined because she runs a downsizing business. It's an independent person, and she thought it would be a great opportunity to see what we do. We have also a set of people that get every email who have never come to a meeting, but if I need workers, they're some of my first people to reply. Teachers are a unique bunch. We're used to going to staff meetings every month, and somebody says, come to the meeting, and we're still crazy enough to say, oh, I can go. You know, most people don't like meetings, just saying. And so when I say to them, oh, I don't care, don't come to the meeting. If you don't want to come to the meeting, don't. I just need you to show up at this, that, and the other at this time, and they do. And it's so nice to know I have those people working for me. So our first order of business was to do a survey. And again, surprise, look at the shirt. This time I'm interviewed about the survey. What is going to be included in the survey, and why do you need a survey? So I talked up the survey, told them when it would be coming out. Now, we ran a survey in a province that doesn't give a grant for startup for Age Friendly. So our bank account didn't exist yet. We had $0. So October 1st is the International Day of the Older Person. So I had a brain fart, I call it. I decided, I know the people at the Legion, and I said, can we borrow your club room free of charge? Oh yeah, for sure. For old people? Yeah, sure. So, free club room. And I went and bought some nabob coffee and some creamers and sugar and put an ad in the paper. And we ended up with about 75 people come out to a coffee house. And we put out a dish for a silver collection. Well, they were happy to hear about Age Friendly because I get up and I tell them, this is what it's about. This is interesting stuff, right? And they nod and they throw money. So I got $175 in my collection plate. You know, it's better than some ministers are doing. Come on, it's good. So that $175 paid for my case of paper, and that's all I needed. I went to the library. I know the librarian at the public library. She said, you can photocopy for free. It's a good, it's a good cause. So we photocopied our surveys. It was COVID. We were all gaining 10 pounds a month anyways, so we went and walked door to door in our town. Our committee broke up the streets, and we put the survey in your mailbox or tucked it in your door. Every opportunity we got, we talked through our mask and told people about Age Friendly. We answered what questions we could. We invited them to join us if they wanted to. Our survey had no money for postage. So here I am. I'm a teacher. Think cheap, think cheap. The public library has a book depository. I asked the librarian, is it okay if they throw them in there? We had our surveys dropped off free of charge, and if you've ever done a survey, if they say it's between 5 and 7%, consider yourself successful. We had a 27% return rate on our survey. It was incredible. Just before the survey went out, I sent a letter to the editor in this viewpoint and said, this is why you should want to do the survey as well. We're still a small town with a small town paper, and people read it. And we had people actually say, I'm from out of town, I'm on the farm, can I get a survey? So we put stacks at the doctor's offices, the dentist offices, and places that we knew people gathered, car dealerships, that type of thing. And they could pick them up there and finish them as well. The surveys, there's all kinds of examples online. We honed it to make it fit Moosomin because we had some things that Regina doesn't, and like vice versa. So our survey ended up on 3 pages, and easy to fill out, room for comments. I had a couple very personal comments that came back with questions with phone numbers. Now, if you give me your phone number, it means you want me to phone you. So I phoned to find out what was the problem, and one of them was transportation. We pay $5 to take the moto, and the one day I had to go to the bank and to the doctor's office and to the pharmacy, then get my prescription, and the grocery store, and it cost me $20. I said, well, it shouldn't. It should cost you $5. So I phoned Moto to find out if I was squirrely or they just didn't have the right information. So we clarified that. Yes, it's $5 and you get there and back on that in my town. But it's not a big town. You can walk anywhere there. The other question was about the doctor's office. Our doctor's office hung up a note in the reception area, and it said, 1 appointment, 1 concern. Very welcoming little note, by the way. And I have people that paid their $5 to get there. Now, they don't want to have to pay $5 tomorrow or wait 3 or 4 weeks to get the next appointment. And so they were concerned, like, if I need to get my blood pressure medicine renewed, and if I need to tell them about my ingrown toenail, like, how do I do that? And I said, oh, I don't think that's what it meant. So I phoned the doctor's office, and I know most of the people who work there as well. So I said, what does that mean? Well, it just means tell on the phone that I have 2 things I want to talk about, so they book a longer appointment. Thank you. Phone the lady back. Oh, well, that's good to hear. I'm thinking, well, you can make those calls, but if you're feeling intimidated by, one appointment for one concern for 1 appointment, you might not ask that question. You might think you've made a mistake, and nobody wants to feel belittled. So anyways, on to the next part of our journey. We did the survey, and now we're learning from it. It didn't have a lot of surprises. We knew a few things. Our outdoor spaces yielded that we have the crappiest sidewalks going. If you ride a wheelchair down our sidewalk, you'll feel like you had a massage, except your molars will be probably vibrating. We found out that there's a lack of rest areas. People in our town can walk anywhere, but if you're walking from the grocery store back to the senior condos, it's about 8 blocks. You might want to be able to sit your bag down or even sit yourself down for a little bit and have a rest on the way. And so we found that out. We found out that we communicate poorly in our town. People felt left out of the loop. They said that there's not even a phone book anymore. And now all these people gave up their landline. Our old phone book doesn't have their cell in, and you can't even find a cell number. Like, goodness, what's going on with that? And so people were really feeling left out of the loop. And the last one was transportation. How do we get anywhere if our kids can't take us? And everybody's kids are working. It's that whole sandwich generation. They've got the little kids, they've got the older parents, and they're in the middle trying to juggle it all. Tough stuff. So this gave us the work for our action plan. At the same time, we had kept on informing the RM in the town what we were finding out, what we were planning to do. And each of them put forward a resolution on the books that they would support age-friendly. Now that's huge. It might not sound like a lot, but the town is right now looking for a garage for a car that hasn't arrived yet for us. They're looking at properties that are coming up cheap that we'll be able to afford to have a heated space to put our hybrid vehicle. There's all kinds of advantages of communicating. And I think that's one of my things that I bring to the group is I get to communicate. I also work, but they rely on me to do a lot of the yapping. We also got invited to a chamber event, and there was about 100 people in the business community that attend these. They heard about it, and all of a sudden they start saying, would your age-friendly group make use of? And they're saying, do you know that it's 20% off on Tuesdays at IDA Drugstore? Do you know? And you start getting more information received back as well, as soon as you're willing to put that out there. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Word also got out to our Chase the Ace group, our Kinettes, Kinsmen and Kinettes run in our community, and they divided Chase the Ace money and decided we needed $1,000 so we could afford some postage. I can now send a card to somebody and not take the postage out of my own wallet, which is really quite cool. We started formal coffee houses. Our coffee houses started just at the very beginning because we were concerned about COVID isolation. We've had many since. We run them usually right around or on October 1st, which is International Day of the Older Person, and we have a second one on February 14th. If you've lost your partner, that day is a sad day, and a lot of our people love to come out and just have a good visit with friends that day. Those coffee houses have been very much in demand, up to where people have sent messages, can we have one every week? Now, we're also from a small town where the food inspector agency isn't real close, and so I made all homemade cookies for the first ones and homemade donuts, and I feed them well, and they like that. But our newspaper also gives us great press. We get the Legion Club Room. I leave them now about $75 donation for our 2-hour visit each time, and they're happy with that. But we also work Legion bingos a couple times a year. They'll call us and say, we have no volunteers. Do you have some people who could help with bingo? And we go work their bingo. They're glad to give us the room in exchange. I just finished making 12 dozen buns for a supper they had on Sunday. It's a lot of give and take, but that's the thing. It takes a team. You'll hear that over and over if you're with us. The press never hurts, though. Besides, I took some of my own pictures. You'll see the mobility bus, our long-term care, and our private care facilities come out, bring people. They send some workers along, usually to help carry coffee. We have a great visit. We have newcomers coming to this, some people that have not got acquainted with our community saying, just thought I'd come and see what this was about. We've had great responses. And again, a silver collection never hurts because we've always got projects on the go. Our sidewalks came up as a need for outdoor spaces. So what we did with that, our group set up a sidewalk audit. I took the map of Moosomin, divided it up between 12 people. Each of us took a certain number of streets, and I gave everybody 3 highlighters. They don't make red highlighters, so we use pink, yellow, and green. Just like the traffic lights. If it is horrible, non-salvageable, color it red. If it needs a few repairs, maybe some branches cut off of a hedge beside it, make it yellow. And if it's in good shape the way it is, make it green. Well, our map, not to anybody's surprise, looked like a bloodbath. We have a lot of horrible sidewalks. But the result of this was, I had 2 of the other people come and help. We compiled the map, put it into one. I took it to the town administrator who turned it over to Public Works. The first year of doing this is 3 years ago, $75,000 was budgeted in addition to their normal sidewalk budget. In a small town, that's considerable money. The bad news is no contractor would come in for such a small contract. So the next year, they put another 75 with it, and last year we had a ton of sidewalks done. This year, they put another, and we've got more sidewalks done. So it's making a difference. Continued importance by the town as well, listening to what we say. There we go. At the same time, we were giving updates to the paper. We told them all about our survey. We told them what our upcoming projects are. I call them just editorials, and they like having the pages full of something besides advertising, so they do put most everything in that I'd suggest. We decided that outdoor spaces also needed some work, so the rest areas came up with this idea for a bench. The bench that's in the advertisement was one of our members paid for the prototype for a friend who used to be the SARM president for Saskatchewan. He was a Moosomin man, just passed away a couple weeks ago, but this bench was put beside the RM office. People could see it, they could sit on it. We put a picture of it in the paper. What was unique about the way we did this project was we decided the total fabrication wasn't going to be to any of the companies that the catalogs we looked at were from. We decided we'd get a high school kid to fabricate them. We have a great PAA program at our school. And there's a kid who is working at a summer market, a farmer's market, selling barbecue tools and things that he was making out of steel. Cale is in grade 11 at the time, and he made our benches. The co-op donated Trex board. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a plastic composite type. It lasts a lifetime. It's 30-year guarantee. The Trex board on it was donated by the co-op. The painting on the steel was done by the local auto body. The car dealer that's on my committee, his son now owns the old family business. They donated that. We had to pay for the engraving for the plates, and we have an age-friendly logo on everything that comes from an idea from our committee. It's good to keep the image there and the word out there. With the first go-round, we had 22 benches sponsored, and we charged $1,100 per bench, cost us $800 to build them. So we had a little bit for the ongoing maintenance of those benches. Mine is the one that says family, where life begins and love never ends. I'm on a corner lot, so I made sure it's on my corner lot, and I have little people that leave homemade jewelry on it in the summer, and you're supposed to put one down and pick one up, I think is how they tell me. So it's just a real friendly community type thing. Another project we did was about communication, the Tech Time for Seniors. There's a New Horizon for Seniors grant, and if you're in any other type of senior group, you'll hear about those grants. Basically, October, they're coming out, or end of August, but they're due in October. And those grants are for any program that seniors will benefit from. We got a $14,000 grant. What I did is got 8 iPad tablets, and we loaned them to people who didn't have technology but wanted to learn about it. Before the end of the project, most of the loaners were returned, and they went and bought iPhones. They decided an iPhone could do everything, and they were listening to what others had and thought that would be what they'd do. Some people that had Lifeline, the little medallion you wear and it beams in your apartment to a receiver and says that you haven't fallen, we found out that Apple Watches can do it, and it runs on your Wi-Fi, so it's not extra expense. We had people changing to that. There's all kinds of things that came out of this. But we ran this class weekly, and then some of us were getting tired, so we went to once a month. We close again for summer and Christmas, but other than that, we run with volunteers. Some of our volunteers are young kids from the school. Some of them are community people who just like coming out and helping. And we also do an emphasis on fraud prevention. So this is we use the library. It's a free place to use as well. Our library is closed in the evenings for several nights a week, so we just take one of those. Our people know they can come out. I get the key from the librarian, and I throw it in the book deposit slot at the night when I've locked up. Very nice to be from a small town when you get perks like that. The technology lessons that we had were very diverse. We had one lady come in with her desktop computer and an extension cord around her arm, and her friend was coming with the monitor. And I almost sputtered because I wanted to laugh, but I didn't. I said, we're going to have to sit you somewhere where nobody trips on the cord, and I looked for a corner table, and we got her set up, and she learned how to file. She had never been taught to file, and all of a sudden, I've got a maniac. The next week, she didn't bring the computer back. She just dropped in. I've got everything filed. That's cleaned right up. Everything was on her desktop. Every single thing she had, every receipt, it was just a nightmare, really. I don't know how she'd find it, but it was easy because she had time during the week to get that done. Civic participation, this is one I'm very proud of. At Christmas this last year, we put on a free supper for seniors. Our town was given $1 million in the 2024 provincial budget for a new daycare. Now, $1 million doesn't buy a daycare. It buys maybe a quarter of a daycare. But our town has to fundraise. And I thought Christmas is a time when people are lonesome as well, if they don't have family nearby. So we offered free tickets for 150 people. And went to the co-op and to our local nutrient mine. They gave us gift cards for groceries. So it didn't cost us anything to put it on, other than a few incidental things like paper plates and such. And our supper was a sellout, and we made $4,127 for the daycare. Now you'll see in there's some kids smiling. We had children help carry plates, because some of our people had canes or walkers. The children brought your dessert for you over from the dessert table. They brought your tea, coffee, or juice to you. They made our placemats. Those are handprints of the daycare kids on there. So that was something that I think we could redo just without having a fundraiser in mind, just so that we get people out socializing who don't have work anymore to socialize through. These are some of the other projects we do. Some of your bigger centers, like if you started Age Friendly in Vancouver, I'm sure they are a policy committee. They probably meet with the city governance. They talk about policies that affect older people. What we do is we're project and policy, so we have a combination. The top poster is about Forever in Motion. It's an exercise class that can be done from seated position, from standing with the support of a chair or done totally independently. It runs through the Saskatchewan Health Authority. So we ran a program, we had 6 people trained. We now have a class that runs every Monday, so that's a good thing. Then we have File for Life. It's where you have the yellow file folder on your fridge, so if the ambulance has to come in, they have one place to look and one thing to look for. It's a yellow file folder that says what your meds are, who your doctor is, if you've had any concerns in the past. Helps our EMTs do a good job. Helps us have a better chance of survival as well. The next thing we had was the Mature Driver Refresh course. It's through our Saskatchewan Safety Council. And it's basically bringing people together to rehear the lessons you learned if you took driver training in the day. And a lot of us forget about some of those things if we only ever drive in a little old Moosomin where, you know, you don't have a turning lane all the time and that kind of thing. And we had about 40 people come out to that. It was very well attended. We did the Red Cross emergency readiness. When forest fires were starting to perk up everywhere, we thought, I wonder if our people know what they have to have in a ready-to-go kit. And so we've done that. Social prescribing is something that you'll hear a little bit about if you go on to the Saskatchewan Senior Mechanism website under Age Friendly. Their conference had a fellow from Great Britain talk about social prescribing, and it's where in Canada we've learned that every ill has a pill. In Europe, it's no, what can we do to prevent things? So you have somebody who is experiencing a poor diet because they're only on 60% income and they can't afford to eat well. They've had weight gain, now they've got type 2 diabetes. And you go to the doctor and he says, well, here's some metformin or here's some Ozempic or whatever it is that they tell you to take. Or your doctor can be a social prescriber and say, you know, since you've retired, your lifestyle's changed a bit, hasn't it? Well, yeah, I'm a little depressed sometimes. I don't get out of the house as much, and I'm probably not eating as good as I used to, and they'll say, well, you know what, we've got some things here. There's a walking group, and we're gonna get somebody to come by and pick you up and join the walking group. Are you a morning or an afternoon walker? I don't know. Well, you're gonna become one, let's go, you know, and they're doing things that are the social determiners of good health. That's basically what it is. Anything that's a social determiner. So poverty even. They tell you, well, you know, there's no shame getting your long keeper stuff from the food bank. You'll have more money then for your fruits and vegetables if you can get a few canned things. So go to the food bank. That's what it's for. And people are learning that it's a better way to go than another pill for each ill. We have allies. We've got the Legion, we've got the library, we've got our Chamber of Commerce, our newspaper, our Community Builders Alliance. In fact, Community Builders Alliance keeps our books for us. If you have to pay auditors and book reviewers, it costs a lot of money. They are keeping books for any nonprofit in our town that wants them to. They hire the accountant and we just have to funnel the stuff to them. It's such a money saver for us as well. Along with all those things, we promote what is ageism. A lot of you have probably experienced it and accepted it because you thought, well, maybe they're right. I don't know. But our Yorkton Film Festival had 2 really good movies that I found out about, and we showed them. One is about Mr. Barry. He's actually a guy from Prince George, teacher until he was in his 90s. He kept tutoring. He stayed young. And it was that, you know, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. The movie's just so inspirational about finding your calling even in retirement. It's called Mr. Barry, and both of these are now, you can find them through YouTube. The other one is called Golden, the End of Ageism, and it's more of a documentary where it talks about society just being very passive. You walk through the greeting card section in Hallmark, and every card about having a birthday once you're past 65 is insulting, and it's okay. You know, if you did it for everybody else, it might not seem quite as okay. So those 2 movies I can... Mr. Barry, and the other one, Golden, the End of Ageism. And we've showed them we have several manors in town where people, they live with adjoining hallway, but they have independent life in there. And then we have condos, we've showed them there. And I bought popcorn and got water, and that we had popcorn, water, and a movie for an afternoon event, very successful. This is about our volunteerism. The first one, Our Shrine Club is very good at wanting to support everybody and everything. And I'm a Shrine kid. I was born with only one hip, so I spent 6 months as a child in the Shrine Hospital in Winnipeg getting a hip built out of my pelvis. So I did stand-up comedy for them. That's where the stand-up comedy part started. So when the Shrine called and said, we're having this event, could you guys do the hydration station? I said, that's a fancy word to say for pop and water, but we were the hydration station. We've also worked at a wellness fair, which was for the Alzheimer's Walk. Our town has the record for Alzheimer Walk. Last year we raised over 100,000, this year over 65,000, and it's got a very active support group for Alzheimer's as well. This next one is the Canada Day A celebration. When COVID finally lifted, our Canettes and kinsmen all have young families, and they wanted to put on a children's festival, but they were having fun with their kids, so we manned the booths. They did all the organizing. We just had to stand there and say, oh, it's your turn. Nope, wait your turn. You know, we were teachers. Some of us knew how to do that better than others, but it worked really well. We also work at advocacy, and the advocacy part is the part that I find is tedious. I do a lot of letter writing, but I think it's really important. The letters that we've written for our recovery center, we're getting an addictions recovery center for our town because we are a bigger health hub. Our doctors see a lot of it. If you ship somebody far away, sometimes certain cultures don't want to be far from home. It's better to have it local, so they're working on that still. Our long-term care during COVID was demanding that outpatient, we call it the day away program. If you're a day program person, you had to come in and wear a mask all day long, even though the residents didn't. And when you ate, they put you in the recreation room, not in the dining room, because you might have a germ come out of your mouth while you're eating, and the rest of the residents can't catch that. Well, what happened was these people that are going for the day away program are going to eventually use this as their home. It's going to only be a short time until that becomes home for them. How welcoming is it to say, well, I was eating in that room way over there, and I had to wear a mask all day, and honestly, I can't hear people that good if they wear a mask. So, you know, so within 5 days of the letter hitting, I had a phone call from one healthcare member who said, I think I told you too much. I said, no, I already heard it from a spouse of one of the people. And the other one was masks are lifted in care homes in Saskatchewan. So that one was very impactful. Legion grant applications. If you're a Legion member, you'll know that the Legions suffer. Our last time veterans are passing in the small towns. We don't have a lot of people that are young that move back that have served. And our Legion buildings, a lot are being sold off and closed. So what happened then with our Legion is they wanted to get grants to fix up the flooring, the sound system, the refrigerators, the dishwashers. Our Legion is state of the art. It's got everything. I just keep writing letters and put in the next thing. Low voltage lighting, energy efficiency, woohoo. You know, and they keep getting it. And they've got a charger in the front. They've got somebody leading the path there that's doing a real good job. Our Visual Arts Center needs money for grants, and if we can say their seniors taking part, they get better coverage as well. Our town library and our town office neither had accessible doors. If you go with a walker or a scooter, you can't get in until somebody opens the door for you. We wrote a letter. It's on the budget to be done this fall, I guess, is when they're hoping it'll get done. They've had a lot of water main breaks because we've gone to total reverse osmosis in our town. And if you know what that does, it takes all the chemical out of the water and all the joins start leaking. So we've got our town crews are chasing leaks. That's their job now. And our sidewalks were another, I'd say, advocacy point that we did. On June 8th, 2023, I was interviewed by Blue Skies CBC Radio to find out about Age Friendly. And following my interview was a lady from Gravelbourg who did a little piece on Gravelbourg Cares. And it was about transportation. And I had another one of these light bulb moments. They do it with total volunteer drivers. They got a grant through the Rural Transportation Solutions Fund. So on we go. Next thing, we hired a person from their group to come to our Chamber of Commerce meeting. They presented for the whole town. Everybody heard about it. The rest is basically history, except we first said, can we do it? Would we have enough volunteers? So again at the Legion, this one we did in the evening so people could come and have a refreshment if they wanted and hear about the program. We had 20 people sign up as volunteer drivers. So we have, our drivers are ready. The next part of this is the grant. We have a company called Grant Match, and I'm sure you've got the similar thing in your province. They charge you 10% of the grant up to the first 100,000. They do the grant writing, but they're about a 95% successful company. So we hired them to do our grant writing. We are waiting right now to hear from New Horizons for Seniors to see if we've got our grant for a hybrid vehicle. They wanted us to have a purely electrified vehicle. Now, I know here in BC there's lots of electric cars, but you have charging stations. My town of Moosomin does not have a charging station. I have to go to Whitewood, 30 miles over to charge if I need to. So electric vehicles aren't a real big thing right now, but hybrids are. So I phoned Ottawa, talked to the people at the office and said, does it make sense that you're going to get me to get an electric vehicle when I'm taking 4 seniors at least 200 kilometers? And in winter, that means I have to charge there and then charge when I get back home. What do I do with 4 seniors if I've got 4 in the car while we're charging? Like all this just, it's got more questions than answers. And they said, can you put in that we gave you permission to get a hybrid? Oh yeah, I can do that. So that's what we've done. So hopefully we have that word coming soon. I was hoping that by this presentation I would have that, but I think the federal election held us up a little bit. We had provincial recognition received in this spring. We met the goalposts a while ago, but we had politicians come out, we had the mayor of the town, we had people from the RM receiving awards, and we served coffee and tea, and the town came out and celebrated with us. So that is our journey. It carries on. We hope to get going on the transportation. I've had 2 wheelchairs donated, a transfer chair and another chair sitting in my basement at my house because everybody's eager for us to get going on this. I'm just waiting on the pieces to click, but they always do. And that's the thing. If you can just go out and get at it, the things seem to fall together when you've got a plan. So thank you. I hope I didn't bore you to death. Do they need an energizer? Do they need an energizer? So now we need the energizer. I made them do this at Acer Cart. Move your chair back from the table, please, just enough that you can stand up a little bit if you need to, and I'll take questions at the end if that's okay. Okay. I'm a terrible singer, so I'm going to sing without the mic, but I'll talk now right into it. Move your chair back from the table enough that you can stand up. We're going to join in with the song, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, but it's a little teacherish because every time a word starts with a B, if you're sitting, you stand. If you're standing, you sit. So let's start with sitting. Sit down. All right, so you're ready? My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. So bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back, oh bring back my Bonnie to me, to me. Bring back, oh bring back my Bonnie to me. I don't know if I'm standing up or sitting down. Thank you. Were there any questions, or you guys need a break? I know that, but if you have some questions and want to ask, I'll answer the best that I can. Yes?
Has your model been picked up by any other small communities?
About no best before date? The age-friendly. Oh, we've got 19 communities in Saskatchewan, and I'll give you the example. Saskatoon goes under SCOA, the Saskatoon Council on Aging, and age-friendly has become part of their group. We've done something a little different. Our senior club joined with us, so we still go as age-friendly Moosomin, but we're affiliated to them because they had charitable status, which we couldn't get. We have too many certificates out in our community already, and they were incorporated. And those are long processes. And in order to get this grant, we needed both of those, so we just partnered with them. So we're using their status to get the grant. Estevan, I don't think has a group. They weren't, not on my list, but honestly, they're big enough. The problem is in a lot of the communities, it relies back to retired teachers to do a lot of this type of work. We retire young, so we've got communication skills, and we've got organizational skills. So, you know, if there's people out there that want to do this, the lady, Wendy Thenis, is the provincial employee. When I started Age Friendly with that group, there was a 25% employee. It went to 50% within the year, the first year, and it's up to 100% because it's taking momentum and they need more support. So Wendy Thenis, the lady that does it, I can send information if that's needed, or my email is dputland@sastel.net. There's no punctuation, it's just dputland @sasktown.net. tel.net. And I'd gladly take questions that way as well. Yes?
Have the churches in the community stepped up?
Our churches are all struggling so much that they've given us, the hall for the Christmas supper was a donation from the United Church. But we help with benevolence and things if needed, but they really are struggling just staying afloat right now. It's a really sad state because we have a lot of churches and almost all of them are in the same situation of struggling to, well, we've got many churches vacant. There's no person serving on a regular basis. They're getting vacancy services and that type of thing.
My mother had 6 appointments in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Estevan was one.
Yeah, and it seems to be the norm everywhere.
Could you repeat the question after you did?
Oh, her question was there church cooperation with it? Yeah.
We've got time for one more question. Roz.
Devona, and what an amazing amount of work you're doing in Saskatchewan with age-friendly
Well, thank you.
communities. So I just wondered how you sustain yourself and your group with the blue on, because you talk about connecting with many other groups, but how do you sustain and how do you keep your group going?
I was principal of a school of 30 women. Now, those of you that worked on all women staffs know that you pretty much have to know how to handle every mood at every minute because it's different. Guys just go, whatever. Yeah, she's blowing air again. Don't worry about it. The women, and so it was a stressful job, just saying. And there were days where I thought, oh, I'm going to go crazy. So I got involved with lots of other stuff to stay sane. And now I just stay involved with a lot of other stuff. But the one thing I found out about leadership is good leaders lead from their feet, not from their seat. And if you are going to do something, you better be ready to lead the charge. And if you don't have the energy, know when to reach out to others, because there's always people that will show up to help if they know you need it. If I keep on doing everything, they're going to let me. My mom always said, there's those that are willing and those that are willing to let you. And you gotta know when it's time to step back. And we all believe that, the world won't be the same when we vanish, but you also put your hand in a pail of water and take it out. See the difference you made? Ripples for a short time only. So you have to know when to hand the reins to the next guy. You're on that. Way to go. You made the posters. You hung them up. You booked the hall. You did this. You did that. But it's like a choir director. The altos better sing louder. The sopranos, calm her down. And you've got to, that organizational skill is the part that I don't know. I guess I come by it naturally. In a big family, just organizing the dinner table is a big one. Left-handers sit on the prayer end. But it's kind of a skill I guess I'm blessed to have, and I'm happy to share it.
Thank you.